But I think the other thing too about the GSCO convention that I like is that it's a great place to talk to other guys about who did you go with, where did you go, what time of year, does the moon affect it, what do I need for gear? The guys you meet there are the been there, done that guys.
Yeah.
And that's so important for anybody that's, in the mountain game to, there's all kinds of outfitters that will sell you a hunt, but it's those little things like this time of year is better than that time of year. Uh, they're in rut at this time, or all the little tricks that are going to, put the odds in your favor.
Yeah, kind of make or break a hunt, right? Hey everyone, welcome back to the GSCO Podcast, where hunting is the #1 conservation tool. Today's guest is an author and the host of Rugged Expeditions and has done just about everything when it comes to hunting. And we'll get into some of his hunts and accomplishments over the next hour. In case you haven't figured it out who it is yet, I'd like to introduce the man, the myth, the legend, Alain Smith. Alain, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, doing great. Excited to be talking about sheep and Grand Slam.
Awesome, man. I'm glad you can take the time out of your busy schedule to sit down and have this conversation. I know you've been on the short list for a while now, and it's glad to finally have you on, man.
Yeah, it's, the travel schedule now that we're back onto normal travel has been nuts. It's that 2 years of lockdown, and although there were some places open that you could still sneak away to, we got away to Tanzania a couple times, but it's been hard to go anywhere and do anything, especially in all the stands and that. But luckily, we're back and making up for it.
For sure, and I know you just got back from Tanzania too, and if you want to just kind of talk about that maybe a little bit, and kind of what you hunted. I know you're the buffalo guy and all that, but kind of talk about how this trip went for you.
It was good. I like to go out to the, how would you call it, the remote parts of Tanzania where you're away from the cattle and the Maasai and great folks and all that, but it's a different vibe when you're around those villages and stuff. But out in the West, it's really remote. It's like going sheep hunting. There's nobody there. You're out in the middle of nowhere, and just, really a fun trip and exciting. And, out there, besides buffalo, we see lions every day, and, there's lots of leopards and tons of, plains game and things like that. But it's cool. And yeah, I kind of have a Jones for buffalo, so it's it's kind of it's gone beyond passion. I guess it probably is addicted.
Right.
I'm Alain Smith, and I'm addicted to buffalo hunting.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely are, man. You're the king of buffalo. How many buffalo have you taken, you think?
I'm not really sure. I mean, way more than 100.
Wow, that's awesome.
But we were talking this trip. I need to sit down and just start going through the different trips. But, it's been one of those things that when you start out that, they're on license and you do it and it's really fun. But when you're collecting or, going after different kinds of species, you can't always concentrate on buffalo every trip. But, they always seem to step out at the right time. So we've been doing it for a long time, and it's a blast. I got to go with my buddy, Mac Padgett, this time, who I've hunted with for years. And we haven't been on just a guy trip forever. So it was a blast getting back to hunting with him again. He was there with me in 2002 when we got in the big plane wreck in Moyawasi. And so we went back to the same place, different airstrip, thank God.
Right.
But, and we didn't crash this time, so it was great.
Yeah, I saw that post you put up today, and I was going to ask you about that. I didn't know that happened to you, man. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, I was having a run of a plane wreck every 7 years, and now I'm in year 11 without one. So I think I've passed my curse.
7 come 11, huh? Now you should play some. What is that? The rolling the dice game. I forget. It's drawing a blank.
Yeah,
but.
craps.
Craps. There you go. Yeah, just play some craps. Oh, that's pretty wild. And so, did you film this hunt for your Rugged Expeditions show?
No, we didn't. We've got the filming on hold right now. We're looking at some different strategies on where we're going and what we're going to do. And the YouTube channel has been doing just great. And we have a lot of releases that are still coming out from hunts from last year and other ones like that. So we've got a pretty good stockpile of material.
Mm-hmm.
And no, it was one of those deals where I just wanted to go and, as I say, go with my buddy and,
Mm-hmm.
have a good old fashioned hunt that wasn't any retakes and, you know, uh, you could sneak in and do what you wanted. You didn't have to make sure the camera was rolling and,
Yeah.
all that. But it was great. I mean, I love filming and it's really fun, but it's a job.
Yeah,
You
for
know,
sure. For sure. And I mean, and as well as anybody, like having the camera there, it adds that extra element. Like, I don't know if you could say it puts more pressure on, but I think it kind of does put more pressure on. You know what I mean?
the biggest thing is it really does cut into your hunting time.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been lucky through the years on getting, all the kill shots. We've never been on a trip, no, la 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 la, knock on wood, where we haven't got what we went after. And so, from that standpoint, I guess I shouldn't complain. But you spend hour after hour after hour every day, and in the evening, either doing retakes or going through the footage. What do we need to fill out for a show?
Mm-hmm.
Going and filming some other scenes that we're going to need to fill in the blanks and stuff like that. So it's a different vibe on the hunt.
For sure.
It's part of the deal, but you know.
For sure. One of the questions, and I asked you this years ago at SCI when we really didn't know each other. Like, how did you what's your background? Like, did you come from a construction background, or like, how did you start to get into hunting kind of full time?
I started a shipping business when I was 23 and going to Kodiak, Alaska. And it's like a trucking company, if you can imagine that, only you use a boat ship
Mm-hmm.
to get to Kodiak. And they needed a service for LTL, less than truckload shipments. So me and another guy started up doing that, and I would go back and forth between Kodiak and the Seattle area and load the trailers and then get up there when the ship landed and unload the trailers and deliver them. And, just started from scratch, $1,500 each, and away we went. And the great thing about doing that with going to Kodiak was I hadn't done hardly any big game hunting. I'd always been a bird hunter and duck hunter and, things we could do in Washington State, small game. But when I got to Kodiak, the Sitka blacktail populations were out of this world, still are. But in those days, I think we got 5 or 7 as a resident up there.
Man.
And you could get subsistence tags and all kinds of stuff. So it was really great for me to be able to learn to hunt on my own, in a really cool environment. And of course, being around the brown bears was a learning experience too.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how. And then I grew the shipping business, and we ended up serving all of Alaska eventually. So that was helped with my hunting all through Alaska at the same time. And as the business grew, then my resources grew so that I could then go and, start going on overseas trips and things like that.
Mm-hmm. What was your first international hunt?
That was, believe it or not, I had a Canadian passport. I was a Canadian in those days before I became an American. But I went to Dagestan, which nobody probably even knows where that is. It's right by Azerbaijan.
Mm-hmm.
And before the Soviet Union opened up, you could go there as a Canadian. And I went in to hunt Eastern Tour, the same one you get in Azerbaijan today.
Mm-hmm.
And got in a snowstorm, ended up not getting a tour, spent whatever it was, 5 or 6 days in a cave, me and a couple, sheep herders that didn't speak English, which is a whole great story in its own. But,
Mm-hmm.
actually, I think that story, not to be peddling books, but that story is in the first Close Calls and Hunting Adventures. That's in my first book.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, but anyhow, went in there. I didn't get one of those, but I did end up getting Zubrian stag, it's called, a super rare, kind of like a red deer.
Wow.
Actually, yeah, in a way, like a red deer. And then also a Sika deer, the big Sika deer that's found in that part of Russia. So yeah, that was great. And I got a wild boar, but I didn't get a sheep. So
Yeah.
I had to go back to Azerbaijan years later. But that was my first international, go somewhere. And then I went to Africa that same year to Zimbabwe. That
Uh-huh.
was my first trip to Africa.
Cool. I can't believe you went to Dagestan for your first trip. I bet those mountains, when you first looked at them, were like, whoa.
Yeah, even being like whatever I was, 33 or 34 at the time, maybe 32,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever it was. Yeah, it was still that was a tough deal. And you're just walking on, sheep trails, and they had one horse that they drug in there that mainly carried vodka. But yeah, it was quite an eye opener.
Yeah, for sure. Um, so you've done all three tour, and we're talking about tour. Like, what, which one was the hardest one for you? Like, physically?
Uh, the Eastern is always tough, but at least with those, they know where they are. You can see them and you just got to get to them. Uh, the Western tour was very difficult. We were in there for quite a few days. I got a dandy eventually, but it's just straight up and straight down every day. And there was no, had I known better, I would have just taken a pack and a sleeping bag and stayed up there.
Yeah.
It was so hard getting up and down every day. And for me, going downhill seems to be worse than going uphill. I can go uphill all day long, but especially nowadays, the old knees don't like that downhill stuff.
Yeah. They've climbed a
I
lot
think,
of mountains.
yeah, the mid for us was we got lucky. I was with a guy named Bill Figge, and we got in there and both got ours on the first or second day, and and we had great weather. So
Yeah, that makes a difference. What year were you hunting the mid? August? September?
yeah, end of July.
End of
Yeah,
July.
yeah,
Cool. Yeah, I think
yeah,
for me, the mid was, I think, the hardest just because, the terrain, it's got that grass and it's super uneven, and trying to walk through that just killed my ankles.
yeah. And then you got grass covering up those shale rocks, and yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
a nightmare.
Yeah, I think that one was tough. The Dagestan for me, like, it was the only tough part, I think, was we started hiking at 11 o'clock at night with no headlamps. And so I think that was the toughest part for that. Once we were on the top, you know how it is. You're there in them. But yeah, I think for me, the mid was probably the toughest for sure.
And isn't it crazy on that Dagestan tour how wet that grass is at night from the dew, and it just becomes like an ice rink up there on that steep stuff.
Yeah.
I rarely use a hiking stick, and they gave me one and said, "No, you're going to need it." And I was like, "No, I don't need it. I'll be fine." They go, "You're going to need it." So I took one, and man, did I ever! You could at least lean into it on that steep hillside, but that grass was slicker than snot. It was tough.
Yeah, it is for sure. And yeah, thank goodness for those sticks.
Yeah.
Yeah, they looked at my walking sticks. They're like, nope. They threw them to the side of the horse and here, you need this.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, just a quick reminder here to get signed up for our memberships. Whether you're signing up as a new member or just renewing, it is vital in helping our conservation efforts for all species. We have a couple different options for you to choose from. The first is our most popular. It's $75 per year, which you get 4 issues of the SlamQuest magazine, which in my opinion is the best hunting mag out there. It also comes with many other benefits that you can see on our website at slamquest.org. The second option is our eMag, which is $25 per year, and you get all the same benefits with the exception of voting rights, and no print magazine will be sent to you. So if you're a digital person, this one was made for you. You can learn more about how to get signed up for these memberships as well as our international and lifetime memberships at slamquest.org. Yeah, that's awesome, man. So yeah, you've been able to take some amazing animals all over the world, man. And so it kind of leads me into another question that I had. When did you first hear about kind of GSCO and kind of the mountain stuff? Like I imagine if you can remember kind of the year, like when when you first started kind of doing that whole mountain thing and heard about GSCO and the slams and everything that went into that?
Well, I started getting involved in GSCO back when they used to have the joint conventions. Wild Sheep was there, and GSCO was there, and it was a big convention and just a blast.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, the the Grand Slam OVA shows have always been a blast because it's all real hunters, that are there.
Mm-hmm.
You have a mix of folks, but the majority of the people that are there are sheep hunters and goat hunters, and they're not riding around the back of the truck shooting stuff, that type.
Right.
Nothing bad about that, but it's the kind of guys that you're going to be able to, talk shop with, and so I started going then, and then years later, when it split up, and I think the first one was in Biloxi, if I remember right.
Wow.
I don't know why I even remember that, but we went down there, and it was at a riverboat casino, and great, great time. Started out, with a bang. Lots of folks there. It was really fun, and then of course just grown and
Yeah.
become what it is today. But I think the other thing too about the GSCO convention that I like is that it's a great place to talk to other guys about who did you go with, where did you go, what time of year, does the moon affect it, what do I need for gear? The guys you meet there are the been there, done that guys.
Yeah.
And that's so important for anybody that's, in the mountain game to, there's all kinds of outfitters that will sell you a hunt, but it's those little things like this time of year is better than that time of year. They're in rut at this time, or, all the little tricks that are going to, put the odds in your favor.
Yeah. Kind of make or break a hunt, right?
No, it really does, because you hear guys and, just talking about tour as an example, and they go, yeah, I went in the end of September and, we got snowed out and all that. And I'm thinking, September? Somebody booked you in the end of September, or worse yet, October.
Mm-hmm.
Get in there early, whack them in July, or it seems like every year they move it sooner and sooner and sooner, for the ones that don't lose their horns or antlers. But anyhow, I think those kinds of things are the great reasons to go to the convention and to meet all the folks that are there. And it's a friendly crowd.
Yeah.
It's a good bunch of people, and hell, you go there and you know almost everybody that's there. It's really a fun group. And a lot of people only go to that show too.
Right.
So you don't see them at the other conventions, which is also.
Well, so that kind of leads me to the next question. What do you think? And you kind of answered a little part of it. What do you think separates GSCO from like SCI, which you're heavily involved in, and Wild Sheep and all those other kind of conservation organizations?
I think it's like I say, it's the people and the convention itself. The magazine, of course, has always been outstanding. Everybody likes to see their picture in a magazine, and not me, of course.
No, not you at all, Alan.
Right. Yeah. Not that I have every cover I've been on framed in my office that I'm looking at right now, but yeah, me, I wouldn't care. But no, and I think the magazine too has, every time you get it, it means that next Saturday morning after I get it, I'm having my coffee and going through that thing from one end to the other to see what's going on and who's been where, what they got, who's getting big ones in, what outfitter seems to be producing. It's just a fact-filled, Bible. Every time you get it, it's just awesome. So
that's cool.
I think that's a huge part of it for me, is that part of it and the connections that you make with the people, that are at the convention. And so.
Yeah. And I think, having the real hunters' stories and everything like that, having the magazine be about, the hunters themselves instead of, just kind of random stuff like it. That's why you read it, is like you're looking to see who your buddy did, where do you go now, where do you do this, that's the real story. So I think that's kind of a cool thing about the mag for sure.
It's also cool to see guys that are up and coming, and they're working on their 12, or they're working on their 20, or they're one away from a slam. It's pretty neat. I mean, I like seeing guys when they got that needle in their arm for sheep hunting. It's
Hmm.
it's awesome.
Yeah.
So it's good to see the other guys that are coming up and doing it too. And of course, there's always us still getting stuff once in a while, but that's neat.
Yeah, that's cool. So, you're Grand Slammer number 1394, correct?
Yeah, I think you're right.
So, how long did it take you to complete your Grand Slam?
I'm gonna say, well, I kind of had a big gap because when I was living in Alaska, we could go sheep hunting, Dall sheep hunting.
Mm-hmm.
So I went on quite a few, and self-guided, which was really fun. And where we would go, me and my buddy would just alternate. One year he killed one, the next year I killed one, because where we would go, we couldn't haul two sheep out. It was,
Too deep.
yeah, and all on backpack. You get dropped off in the Brooks Range and just start hiking.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't even see anything before you landed. We were supposed to, but weather or whatever the excuse was, we never did. But anyhow, we always got one each year and we went. But then I had kind of a big gap, and I was, with a new business and stuff, didn't have that much time. So I'm going to say I had to be a good 12 years from start to finish between them.
Really?
Yeah, that would be my guess, because the hardest one for me was getting a bighorn, a Rocky Mountain bighorn. I did a couple dolls, then I got a stone, with bluestone with Billy Ostrich,
Mm-hmm.
and then I got a desert down in Mexico, and then I finally. By the way, I never get drawn for anything. I've been putting in for everything, and I have maximum points in every state, and I, to this day, have never been drawn for a sheep permit.
Oh, Alan, don't tell me that.
Yeah. So there's no hope for everybody else who's putting in and hasn't been drawn. But no, I'm telling you, I'm the most unlucky guy. Oh, I take it back. I did get drawn a few years ago for the Chugach, when it was broken up into different parts, not the whole Chugach, but one of the units that was in there. And I got a nice doll in there. But as far as trying to get a desert and, any of the desert states, nothing, never got a Rocky out of one of those, you know, drawings. But I did go to Widmer, or Windmere, whatever it is, up in Alberta, and that kind of open area they have up there. And I got lucky and I shot one.
Really?
It was a legal ram, and that's all. But that was my Grand Slam sheep, so it was pretty awesome. And
Yeah. Was that the one that was most memorable, you think, the Rocky, or because it took you the hardest or the longest time to get?
I think the self-guided ones were probably the most rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the elation of finally getting a Rocky was awesome. Just I was beginning to give up hope. You put in year after year after year, and you never get drawn for anything. And I live in Washington State now, and we've got Rockies and Californias here, and never got drawn here either. And I finally ended up getting a tag, but it was an alcohol-related auction item.
Yeah, you killed a great ram. I remember seeing the picture. Amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
Giant.
I guess it was worth it in the end.
Definitely. That was one drink that was definitely worth it. Or 10.
Yeah. And no wife at the table either, so that helped.
Oh, man. She wasn't like, hey, you're spending way too much money. I've been there, too. Like, how much is this hunt worth? Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. It's not bad. Yeah.
Oh, that's classic.
Yeah, but so yeah, but all the North American sheep hunts are definitely one of the toughest hunts. You go into those Yukon or BC hunts, where you're going in on horses for 10, 12 days, 14 days. I mean, that's a tough hunt.
Mm-hmm.
There's steeper hunts in Asia and things like that, but man, I'm telling you, that North American sheep hunts are pretty. That's a tough hunt.
Yeah, I mean, like North America, it seems like, the hardest part is trying to find the sheep. In Asia, it's like finding the right sheep because you're going to see tons of sheep.
Yep,
So,
and you got lots of people to help you.
mm-hmm.
You go on a stone sheep hunt, it's you and a guy, and usually you're wrangling the horses, or you're cooking while he's wrangling the horses, or you stay in a pub tent and you're eating freeze dried, and it's real hunting.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these places in Asia, you got 14 guys walking up the hill with you. They want to carry all your stuff and everything. I mean, it's still tough, and it's a long way to go, but
Mm-hmm.
um, tough wise, they're not comparable. I don't think.
Right. I think you're correct on that for sure.
Mm.
But, I mean, you can almost, Marco Polo, what's 40 grand now? And, the North American sheep are just going insane right now. It's crazy.
Yeah, who would have thought that a Marco Polo would be cheaper than a stone sheep,
I know. I never would have guessed that in a million years for sure.
or even probably a doll nowadays? I don't know. I'm afraid to look, but
Yeah, they're getting up there. And I mean, with the population the way it is, it's only going to climb higher for sure.
yeah.
So,
Yeah. Good thing is that conservation programs are working great, and we got great numbers.
mm-hmm.
North America, all the sheep are doing good except the ones that get hammered by disease.
Mm-hmm.
And I know they're trying to work on that, and a lot of our money we raise at GSCO goes towards those programs too. So it's you know the model is working. It's just unfortunate that it's getting so expensive, but there is hope still of being drawn, at least for the lower 48
Yeah.
and Alaska animals. So a guy can get just about everything except a stone through a drawing. So that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. And you got to apply. You have to. I mean, this is the only way you're ever going to really get one unless because the Alberta odds aren't very good for those Rockies.
No,
So,
no, it's a tough hunt, and it's all woods, and yeah, that or start robbing banks so you can just buy governor's tags.
right.
Yeah.
So since we're on the sheep kick, you're at a Ovis Super 30 now, right? You have over 30? Are you working on that 40?
I think I got 35, maybe. Yeah, I'm kind of, to be honest with you, I'm not much of a hair splitter or
Yeah.
species splitter.
Right.
And, there's some new species that are out there, which is great. And for a guy to go and, hunt them is awesome. I certainly want to do the Morocco thing for an aoudad in its home range.
Mm-hmm.
That's looks like a great hunt. And it's a tough animal and a good hunt, so that'd be good. And so yeah, I'm plugging away at it, but not you know it'd be great to get there. But I think the reaching the Super 30 was certainly a big goal for me, and the same thing with the goats. And if some when cool hunts come up, yeah, I'll go do them. Like Morocco is a good example, and I think I still need a lot of the stuff that I kind of had everything that was open when I got to 35, and then some new stuff has come up. So
Right.
I need to get back at it.
Yeah, like the Corsican. Do you have
Yeah.
that one?
No, well, not under that classification
Right.
of, that. But yeah, and there again, why not?
Yeah.
It's not very tough to talk the wife into going to France.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good one to take the wife to for sure. So on that note, like what was your most memorable sheep out of that 35? Like I was looking at some of your pictures today, and I think my favorite sheep that you have is that one from Turkey. That thing was a monster.
The Konya.
Yeah.
Yeah, that thing was it was a monster. Wasn't the hills where they're at is not that difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I mean, it's a tremendous sheep and it's a great photo.
Mm-hmm.
But I sheep wise, like getting out of North America, I would probably go with, I've got a Hangai Argali that was pretty good that I shot with Gala
Mm-hmm.
years ago. And it was it was one of those ones that they kind of knew there was a big one over in these mountains. And, it was a tough hunt, but it was a lucky shot, and there was not a lot of the big long range rifles like there are now. So it was kind of a, hold above his shoulder somewhere and see what happens. And,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, it was a really fun hunt and, and a tremendous trophy.
Yeah.
I had a smaller hang guy before that. And then when I was over there, the opportunity came up to get this thing. I really wasn't even planning on doing it. And then when it came up, it was like, hell yeah, I'll do it. So
Yeah.
back when it was just an add-on and it wasn't that expensive, you know. So,
That's awesome, man. You get good
yeah.
on you for that, for sure. Did you do a couple sheep while you were there, or you kind of split them up all three?
That time I did the first time I was there, I did the Gobi and the hang guy, and then I did a hang guy on its own, and then I did a Altai. I don't know, 5 6 years ago. I'd always wanted to get a big Altai, and so I kind of been waiting. Remember for quite a few years, you were lucky if you could get one 50, 51,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of size. And I could never afford to go in the old days when they were shooting those 60 inchers. So I had waited to, till they started getting big ones again a few years ago and went over, but kind of had a bad hunt, bad outfitter, shot a okay sheep.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Certainly any sheep is a good sheep, but, you kind of go over there with a higher standard in mind and didn't quite work out. So, buyer beware.
Yeah. Oh, that's too bad, but yeah, it happens sometimes. And I'm sure you've got both ibex from there, huh?
Yeah, I got one on the first trip, and then actually, my speaking of species changing, my Siberian was taken in Russia, not in Mongolia.
Really?
Yeah, but now those are called cyan ibex,
Mm-hmm.
I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So mine is actually a cyan. So I guess I get to go back to Mongolia and get that other one now. So
Cool.
that'll be, yeah. So
Nice.
um, yeah. So I never did shoot one there because I'd already taken one in the cyan area where they have the ibex and there's a red stag that's in there, or a morale actually,
Mm-hmm.
and roe deer, and there were some bears, Siberian brown bear in there too. So that's a cool hunt.
Yeah, that's cool. So the hang guy was your outside of North America, your most memorable sheep hunt.
Yeah, that was a great trip.
Yeah. Can you remember what year you did that in, Alan?
Whew.
Putting you to the test here, buddy.
Yeah, really, I should have got the book out here. I don't know. I'm going to say
It,
95-ish.
oh, cool.
Yeah, that bracket.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome.
a while ago.
I love how you were doing the cool hunts before they were all cool, though. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, when they were cheap.
Yeah, yeah. When you can walk around with us at SEI with $4,000 and buy a few hunts,
Yeah,
or a rhinoceros or something, or a Marco Polo, or
yeah. I think I spent. This is one of those classic old guy stories. My first safari to Zimbabwe, all in, it was like $6,800.
oh man.
For a buffalo and kudu and all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
A bunch of planes came. We tried to get a leopard, we didn't get one, but yeah, couldn't even get the plane ticket now for that.
Man, bang for your buck. Zimbabwe was still it back then, huh?
Yeah, that's right after Mugabe took over, so it was still pretty organized, and it was great.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah, I love hearing those old stories like that. It makes me jealous that I wasn't hunting or alive. Just kidding, man. I'm 45, so I'm not too far behind you. So that's all good stuff, man. So You've killed a ton of cappers too. I know you're in your super 30s, like, and that's kind of I love the goat stuff. Like the sheep I love it too, but like for me, like the ibex and the goats are where it's at. So what is your most memorable goat hunt that you can recall?
I would have to say North American, billy goats are, I think it's probably the most underrated. And now I know there's a couple spots you can go to that are fairly easy to get them, like
Yeah.
off of boats and stuff like that. And Kodiak's fairly easy nowadays too. When I was in Kodiak, there weren't any. Those are all been brought in and have done great. I mean, the populations are soaring, and it's fantastic that they're doing so good.
Mm-hmm.
But you go on an Alaska self-guided mountain goat hunt by yourself, and I did it for quite a few years in a row. It's it's a blast, and it's a tough hunt. They drop you off at the beach, and you just start climbing. You got a backpack, and you know carry all your own stuff, and when you get done, you carry the goat out and all the meat, and it was just. It, I'll never forget those trips and all the stuff you'd see, and get right in there among the goats and lots of the areas. I don't think those goats had ever seen anybody before. The biggest problem he had was getting one in a position where he wouldn't fall, to an area where you couldn't recover him.
Yeah, 1,000 foot down the cliff.
Exactly, or to the water, and that kind of a thing, and no way to get to it. So sometimes you'd have an absolute monster standing at 75 yards looking at you, and there's nothing you could do because he's going to do the death jump. So
Yeah. They tend to
but
do that too, right? They just
oh,
they're so tough that they just like, I think I'm just going to jump off after I'm shot right here.
yeah, and unless you can just spine them and they're going to be on a flat spot or something, but no, it's the very not a tough body, but just like any goat, they seem to just be able to absorb it, and rarely do they just drop in their tracks. But we had one on camera that we got up by Cordova that dropped in his tracks, but it's probably because I shot 3 inches higher than planned and spined him.
Mhm.
Um, but I think that those are really quality. Uh, Here again, North American tough adventures.
Mhm.
I do like the ibex. I had a really tough hunt for a mid Asian, and I ended up getting the absolute gorgeous one, 53 if I remember right.
Man, it's a good one.
Yeah, really nice one. And we were up there trying to get the Tien Shan Argali at the same time,
Hmm.
and then they had the ibex in the same area, and waist deep snow. The horses couldn't even plow through it. Just a really tough hunt, and then to be able to shoot a absolute monster like that was just great.
Hmm. That's
So
cool.
really a memorable trip, and uh, the interpreter stayed back in camp. So you're trying to. The guy's got rocks that he's setting in the snow, going, okay, not this one.
Yeah.
The one, two down to the left, and there's 20 of them all standing there. But yeah, it was great.
Pictionary in the snow, huh?
Yeah. And then you go, niet, niet. Okay, not the top one. Okay. Count three down to the left and one over to the right. That one. Oh, okay. And by the time you look up, they're all moving again.
Yeah. And then you find them in your scope and you're like, which one again?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. So, do you think that mid-Asian was the toughest of the ibex? Do you think it was tougher than the Himalayan?
It was for me. I got lucky on the Himalayan that uh, my Himalayan, it was above a village, and they knew there was ibex up that mountain. And when we went in there, they said either they're going to be there and you'll get a shot, and if they're not, then we're going, up that valley as far as you can see, which was going to be a 2-day trek, which is the typical Himalayan ibex. So I was able to get the one that was up above, and it was a dandy.
Mm-hmm.
Which we have a show about that one too. That's the one where I actually showed me missing,
Yeah.
which we don't ever do.
Yeah. It's the real deal, though, Alan.
Yeah, and but the crap I took for it, I was like, why did I? But it was such a funny theme because the guy Alan Sack, my friend, had said at the beginning, Alan Smith, he never misses. I watch his show and he never misses on
Oh
his show.
boy.
And then I missed that damn ibex, and so at the end we slow mode Alan saying he never misses.
Yeah, everybody, you can check that out on YouTube, right? The Rugged Expeditions.
Yeah, it's
That's
or under
awesome.
James Smith too. Either way, you can find him. But those are fun, and I love Pakistan. I've been to Pakistan a lot of times, for the Markhors and
Hmm.
ibex, and there's a ton of plains game there as well. And God, I don't know how many different sheep there are, but you got the Blandford and the Punjab and all that, and the Sind ibex. So
Hmm.
it's a great place to go, and really nice people, and real. Each part of the country is completely different. It's different tribes and uh, and the sustainable use conservation program is really working good over there.
For sure.
It's made a huge difference, even just in the 15-year span that I started going there. Versus last time I was there, 3 years ago or 4 years ago, I guess it was.
Hmm.
Uh, the improvement in the amount of wildlife has just been staggering.
Yeah, that's cool. Which one of your Markhor from there was your favorite? Like, if I had a choice, like the Suleiman would be the one that I would want to go after. Which one was your favorite to go after there?
I would say mine was the cashmere.
Really?
Yeah, it was. We were lucky that we got in there right when it reopened up again, and I shot an absolute monster, and lucky shot, and got it on film. But it was, it's tough. You walk up, and you got lots of guys carrying your stuff. There's a
Hmm.
lot of the locals that go with you, but you just got to get up there and get in those rocks and get in there among them, and it's a really a tough, exciting hunt, and be prepared for long stuff. Yeah, but there again, great guys. Falcoos and all of his people there are just, done a super job with the Kashmir,
Hmm.
Markhor, and now I guess it's, before you get there, they pretty well got it wired. It's
Yeah.
way better program than when I was there. There hardly anybody had been in there before, so it was kind of a, I don't want to say unorganized, but it was they were kind of learning as they went.
Yeah, kind of a little more of a crapshoot. Like they didn't know where they were, like they do now, right?
Exactly, and they know a big one from a little one for
Hmm.
sure. And but mine was kind of a freak. It was kind of in that area where they cross over between the Astor and the Kashmir. They overlap in some places.
Hmm.
And mine, actually, if you see on the film or the photos of it, one horn is like an Astor and the other one is like a Kashmir. So there
Super
was
unique.
there was some confusion in the beginning with it, but they ended up lumping it into the Kashmir.
Hey everybody, have you heard about our Super Slam drawing? If not, check this out. Since 2010, GSCO has sent more than 250 winners on free, fully guided hunts with some of the industry's best outfitters. That's more than $5 million worth of hunts. Wow. For only $100 per month or $1,200 per year, you will have the opportunity to win a hunt of a lifetime. In 2022 alone, you will have 30 chances of winning with multiple monthly drawings. You will also receive a GSCO membership and 4 issues of the best hunting mag in the industry. On top of that, the longer you're in the raffle, the more names you get in the hat. So keep that in mind. That's a big incentive. To join the Super Slam drawing, go to slamquest.org and sign up today. And remember, you can't win it if you're not in it. So, Alan, you did the Kashmir was your favorite, and then so you've done the one in Tajik, the Bukharan. Did you? How tough was that hunt?
I haven't done that one yet.
You haven't done that one.
I've actually been talking to some guys about trying to get one organized and would love to go and do it. It's a tough time of year for me with everything we've got going on, and especially, I believe the time is November, December.
Mm-hmm.
And with getting ready for the conventions and speaking engagements and things like that. And then we have quite a bit of uh, other speaking engagements outside the hunting world that happen in December also. So I'm trying to just get something booked, out far enough in advance that we can go. But I'd really like to do that one. I saw them a lot when we hunted in Turkmenistan when that was still open.
Mm-hmm.
You could hunt Afghan urial, and there was actually more markhor than there were Afghan urial. You'd see the markhors all the time. They weren't open. You couldn't hunt them in those days, but saw lots of them, and I just always loved them. I think they got the coolest horns of any of the markhor. It's a super cool animal.
For sure. And that's another great success story, huh? The markhor there.
Great.
Yeah.
You know, if you give the locals a reason not to eat them, they will.
Yeah. And I mean, they're really pulling out some great ones out of there too.
Oh,
So
it's
hopefully you
just,
get that one done, man. I will look forward to seeing that one.
yeah. I think the thing with the markhors is their horns are so big proportional to their body. I don't know if there's any other animal that would be relative to. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
a kudu has big horns, but
Big
it's on
body.
a huge animal.
Right.
Those goats aren't that big.
No, they're
It's
all hair, right?
a Suleiman markhor is a small animal.
Yeah.
It's hell, it can't be. Are they 100 pounds?
Yeah, maybe. Pretty
Maybe.
tiny.
Yeah. So, but
Yeah, that's pretty cool though. I mean, most guys never get to really get close to them though. You know what I mean? So it's you're just looking at pictures. But yeah, I mean, they definitely have. I mean, that's the number one animal in my book for sure. Like for as far as goats go, like that's the king for sure.
yeah, I agree.
Well, that's
They're
awesome, man.
majestic.
Do you have the Uriel from Tajik or no?
No, I have the Afghan, and which here again, not saying I won't shoot one when I go there, but
Yeah, splitting
you
hairs.
know, it used to be an Afghan, and now it's a
Yeah.
Bukharan, or Bukharan, however it's said. But
Mm-hmm.
there is a little bit of a difference to them, I'm sure, and the coloration seems to be different in the photos. So I get it, not knocking it, but
Right.
uh, I should probably look and see where I shot my Afghans. Maybe one of them is one of those.
Maybe you want it to go back. So I got a question for you, Alan. Like you've been around long enough. Like China was open. Were you able to hunt China at all?
I did. I got the uh, Tibetan blue sheep,
Wow.
and just a great trip. Super well organized. Really high altitude. I took my daughter; she was 14 at the time,
Dang.
and took her to see the Chinese experience in Beijing, and did some touring around before we got there. And then she went up in the mountains with me, and it was a great hunt. What a shame that that's closed.
Man, it's horrible, huh? Because they have some of the best mountain game there is.
And never mind I remember I was sitting looking at some uh, blue sheep, and over the hill comes four Gansu Argali rams,
Oh man.
and they were trying to sell one to me for $12,000, but
Really?
I couldn't bring it back.
Yeah,
And $12,000 in those days was $60,000 now
for sure.
for a photo.
Yeah.
Now today I would shoot it and ask questions later.
Yeah. No question.
Yeah, but it was it just seemed like a high price, and with not being able to bring it out, blah blah blah. But every time I think about those dang Gansus, standing, I'm like, oh, what was I thinking?
Man, what a cool sight though,
Yeah.
huh?
Oh yeah, and the guys that were in there that were going sheep hunting for the other sheep, it was that little window where some of the legendary hunters, Bob Logan, and those guys, they got in there, and uh, you know Gary Rigotti and that. I mean, super trophies,
Mm-hmm.
and I doubt we'll ever see it open again. I'd be really shocked, that the Chinese have no reason to do it. So,
Yeah, and I mean, there's been rumors, for years. Oh, they're gonna open. They're going. No, never happens, man.
yeah,
I,
right after I opens up again.
yeah, I can imagine the list would be super long if they ever did open again. Like it
Yeah.
would be crazy. That's cool, man. I'm glad you got to do something like that. Something very few guys that are around now get to experience. So that's cool. Like compare that Tibetan blue sheep hunt to. Have you done both in Pakistan and the one in Nepal?
I did the one in Nepal,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a great adventure.
Yeah.
That's a trip everybody should do. it's not that expensive, relatively speaking, because you can get the tar and the blue sheep,
Mm-hmm.
and you can get a muntjac as well,
Mm-hmm.
which is a super trophy.
Right.
Because the tar that are there, that's a tough. It's way harder to get a tar than it is to get a blue sheep.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a great adventure. Back on the China thing though, if anybody who's listening that has something that they want to do, and it's in one of these marginalized countries, I say that like Pakistan can close tomorrow.
Even Courage.
Um, Nepal's, yeah, Kyrgyzstan, who knows? Go on all the trips to the oddball places before they close. I went to China, had a great trip, but it was always going to be open. I was going to go back and get a takin and a white lip deer and one of the argalis or two of the argalis that were open. And instead, I went and went to Africa and did some other stuff, and just because I always thought it was going to be open,
Mm-hmm.
and we always knew it was very on the edge. It was never. I don't want to say it wasn't legit, but it was always a little gray going over there, even though it was so well organized. But man, if you got something you want to do, go now before it closes. Tanzania will always be open. You know, Europe will always be open. Uh, you know, go do them.
Yeah, that's great advice, man, for sure. And I can relate to some of that stuff too. Even, for something on the North American side, like the mountain grizz in BC, it was like, it'll always be there, and I remember some of those guys saying, you better do it now because they're going to close it. And I mean, that's just, it happens, right? So,
Yep.
yep, you're right. Like China and even like Iran, like that's a place that I would love to hunt and probably maybe never ever get let in there again. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? I
Yeah.
mean, maybe when all the rhetoric is over. Um, I was there and we had a great trip
Mm-hmm.
and didn't get everything we wanted, but we certainly got some species, which was great. But everybody speaks English. Most of them have American passports and Iranian passports. All this is just political, you know, mumbo jumbo. Everybody you meet over there loves us.
Mm-hmm.
Loves Americans, no problem at all. It's just a government thing. So,
Yeah.
and they've got great wildlife numbers.
Yeah, they're pretty well managed from what I hear over there, huh? I mean, you were on the ground, you probably saw, so I heard the
Um,
management is pretty great over there.
yeah, for most of the species, there's a lot. Some of the desert ones, like the Shiraz and the Laristan, there's never been a lot of them to start with, and I don't know that it's a management issue so much as it is just a habitat issue of why there aren't very many. But the ones up in the north, though, there's lots. They're very well managed.
Really?
Yeah, it's a cool hunt.
Yeah, I bet, man. That would be next level for sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool, man. You've been super fortunate to be able to have such an amazing hunting career, and you've put together a lot of slams, a super slam, triple slam, slam quest, pinnacle. Like, which one of all those slams that you've been able to accomplish? Which one means the most to you?
I would say, the triple slam was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, by getting some of everything. You know what I mean? You get, besides your Grand Slam, your Ovis and your sheep one. I mean, that was as a milestone. It was a hugely rewarding, milestone to achieve. I
Mm-hmm.
thought that was really, really something.
Right.
But here again, the desire, not necessarily, something that comes out about awards. Yeah, it's great to get an award, but what's really fun about going through and documenting it with GSCO was that, yeah, it's a checklist, but you're around other guys that are doing it, and they're loving it, and you're loving it. You're meeting great people. It was the whole experience of getting to go and do it,
Mm-hmm.
and it was never necessarily okay. I got to get to 12. I got to get to 12. It was that I'd like to kill everything at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And along the way, if you achieve something like that, great. It was a rewarding milestone to achieve. after you get the award, it doesn't make you any stronger, richer, or, better looking. But, you know, it is certainly a goal, I guess, to try and strive for.
Yeah, and I think, you kind of say, like, you're eventually going to get there. It's not, you're just going to keep banging away and keep going and having fun. And then, when it's there, you're like, hey, I'm there. Finally, I did it. I achieved that goal. It wasn't like, all this pressure to get it done and, just have fun with it.
And everybody who's listening, if you're not doing it for fun and you're not enjoying every second of it, don't do it.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, having 12 or 20 or 30 doesn't mean anything if you're not having fun, because there's a lot of times on these trips, these mountain trips especially, that it's not that much fun. It's hard. The food sucks.
Mm-hmm.
You're laying on a rocky, hillside. You're paying a fortune to go to, some godforsaken place to whack something. And you've got to like it and enjoy the challenge and every piece of it, the thrill and the challenge and sometimes you're not going to get one.
Yep.
But it's not the end of the world. You had a great time and you're not in your office. That's the main thing. So, but we work and work and work so that we can afford to do all these things. And when you do them, it's got to be fun.
Yeah, 100%.
So,
that's great advice for sure. Coming from one of the goats, man. That's valuable advice. Like, you just have fun and take it all in, because you're only there for a short amount of time and it'll go by so fast. And then when you're on that plane ride home, you're just wishing you were back there again.
Exactly.
So yeah, take it all in, people, and have fun doing it. And if you're able to achieve a bunch of stuff along the way, man, that's great. And that gives you a goal to shoot for sure.
I think also what was interesting about the setting goals or, wanting to get the different species, it was really great for my business career.
Mm-hmm.
Because I knew that I couldn't accomplish what I wanted to in hunting unless I could afford to do it. And that made me make business plans. It made me want to achieve in those areas. And it really helped me a lot. I remember I've lots of times been sitting on a mountainside glassing and killing time in the middle of the day when nothing's moving, and just started making notes about, okay, I got to, hire somebody to do this. I got to come up with a new plan for this town, or we got to build a building, or, whatever it was. But it helped drive you to achieve other things. So in a way, I think hunting can be that motivator that you need to improve your personal life at the same time.
Yeah, that's excellent advice, man. That is so true. Like, you can plan everything around kind of your hunting and where do I want to achieve, and I want to be this, I want to hunt Marco Polo in 5 years, and what's my business plan to help me achieve that. That's awesome, man. That's really good stuff right there. I love it.
Yeah. And try and stay married at the same time.
You definitely got to have one that gets it. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's good stuff, Alan. Great advice, man. That's awesome. So, you're a Weatherby guy, Conklin Foundation, the list of awards you have, Cameron could barely fit it on the email when he sent it over to me. Which one of those awards are you the most proud of? Like, is it the conservation award? Is it the Weatherby? Which one of those means the most to you?
They're all great honors, but the Pantheon I thought was a great idea for an award because it really is a measurable, documented award.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, some of the other ones there's some voting based on maybe it's a popularity contest. Maybe it's, this guy's got one more of these than the other guy's got of that.
Mm-hmm.
I like the Pantheon for that it's, here's the list.
Yeah.
Here's what you need to do. and it's very, very difficult. Well, obviously, look how few people have ever gotten it.
Yeah, the
And
list is small.
yeah, so to be able to, get something like that, and there's no hanky panky on it. It's documented in the record books and things like that. So I think that was a real honor.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it was really, and it's a nice event. That's another thing that's really fun about the GSCO convention is the awards program is always a blast. I've always liked, being up there and interacting with all the people that are coming and going when I can, help out. Uh, and the crowd is just, it's always a great crowd.
Mm-hmm.
They're ready to go. They're ready to have fun.
Yep.
I do quite a bit of this stuff. And, sometimes you're at some of these events, you're thinking, oh my God, I'm dying out here. That was my best joke, people. Come on.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome, Alan.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. Well, that's really awesome that's the award that you pick out of all the many you had, man. And I get it, like 100%. Like, here's the list. Like, this is what you got to do, and that's great, man.
Yeah.
So
There's Weatherby Award winners that don't qualify for it.
I know, isn't that wild?
Yeah. That tells you how tough it is.
Mm-hmm. That's super tough, man. It's a exclusive club for sure.
Yeah.
But so are you gonna come to the convention this year?
Oh yeah, I'll be there.
Perfect.
For sure, Friday and Saturday.
Okay.
And I'm trying to get in earlier. I've got a gig on Wednesday, though, that I've got to do. And then, looking forward to it. Got a couple of buddies getting awards, so I want to be there to celebrate with them. And it's going to be a blast.
Yeah, it's going to be a really big party this year. We're going to try and make it, as fun as possible and not so much of a grind, as the shows can kind of tend to be. But we look forward to seeing you. Maybe we'll have to sit down. I'm going to be doing some casts there too. Maybe we'll sit down and talk to you for 20, 30 minutes and see how you're liking the convention.
I'm sure we'll come up with some shtick.
We know you love to talk, Alan, so I'll drag you in there.
Yeah. Oh, twist my arm.
Oh, that's cool, man. So let me just got a couple more questions here, then I'll let you go, man. So, what's next for you personally, and then what do you got coming up with Rugged Expeditions?
For me personally, like hunting goals wise, I'm going to keep shooting Cape Buffalo till the day I die.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really enjoying duck hunting. I've got a couple of farms that we, grow crops and specifically, set aside the land for waterfowl. So that's been real fun and keeps me busy in the summer doing that. Still got some mountain hunts, the Morocco. Like to get back into Europe to do some more stuff there. I definitely want to do the Tajikistan trip as well. So some of those, I'm blessed that I can still climb, and so to use it or lose it. So might as well keep doing it while we can.
Right.
So get those done, and that's, I guess it's just more of the same. We haven't slowed down really on it. There's just, to be honest with you, there's not a lot of them I want to go back and do a second time. Like I enjoy doing the North American ones, more than once.
Mm-hmm.
Not to get another slam, but just I shot another desert bighorn this summer or this past spring, and that was great. Went with Alan Sackman, and who has now achieved, I believe it will be the first man to get a Grand Slam from start to finish after he was 80 years old, which is
amazing.
Was an honor to be with him.
Mm-hmm.
And so we both got a sheep, and that was a blast. So yeah, there's always something coming up, and so that's fun. Rugged Expeditions, it's been such a great, how do I put it? It's been such a great experience being involved in it. We've started about 11 years ago, filming, and we did the TV stuff. But since we moved to YouTube, it's been unbelievable. And that we're on Amazon Prime too. You can see the show on there. Amazon is under J. Allen Smith, and the YouTube channel. You can do it either under Rugged Expeditions or J. Allen Smith. But the the experience of getting to document it and have fun here again. If we're going to do this, I went into it going, okay, well, I can't be like this guy because he's already got that cornered.
Right.
You can't do elephants because Ivan Carter's already done that. I mean, who
Yeah.
has better footage of standing in front of him charging elephant than him?
Right.
Kershaki got the tough guy stuff pretty well wired out. So you know, we tried to fill the niche of we're having a good time and having some great experiences and having some music involved in it too. And we've got some more music coming out. We're going back in the studio on Friday and playing some live music again. That's been fun to get out and be on the road again a little bit doing that. So I don't know, just I got to keep going. Idle hands are the devil's workshop. So
100%.
yeah.
That's good, man. I know there's a lot of those Weatherby guys after they win it, they kind of just stop hunting, and you're definitely not one of those guys. So I mean, I love seeing all the stuff you're doing and following your social media and checking out your YouTube hunts, man. You're putting out some good stuff. And what's the biggest piece of advice you could give like a young YouTube hunter that's wanting to do his own films? Like, is it just be yourself, or is it anything, any piece of advice you could give somebody that's trying to crack into that kind of game?
The big thing is, well, yes, be yourself. And if being yourself isn't good enough, maybe look at a different career. Uh, it's really hard to act. I never act. I mean, I don't even know how to act.
Right.
I just, the camera turns on and you just do whatever shtick you got and you cut out the lousy stuff and hopefully some of it's worthwhile. But um, don't act. And you've got to show the truth about what's happening and what you're up to out there. That doesn't mean not editing, because you need to make a show that people want to watch. I think, I hadn't thought about this question, but I think the thing I see with so many people is they're trying to make something out, to put a message or something out, or they've got a mission that they want to talk about, but it's not entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
And especially with YouTube, because people can click on it and in 30 seconds, if they don't like it, boom, they're gone.
Yeah, they're out.
And we can tell by the analytics that we get from YouTube just how long people watch, blah, 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 blah. So you got to make it entertaining, make it something that people look forward to and that they want to watch. And don't get too heavy. If people want to watch a documentary, they can, watch the BBC or the Discovery Channel or something, unless you're going to go to that level. But that's very, very difficult.
Yeah, for sure.
That's epic. You need footage that you can't do with your own handy cam and a cell phone and a drone. So, but on the other side of the coin, there's only one way to get better at it, and that's to get out and start doing it and let it evolve. And you'll soon find what your niche is, that you start getting hits and you start getting people watching. Okay, what did I do in that video that made people watch?
Yeah.
Why are they coming back to that? We see it as an example, like it or not. I can't get anybody to watch my whitetail shows.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, relatively speaking to, killing buffalo.
Right.
Or, Markhor shows have done great because they're exotic and they're in a, weird location and that kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But our niche is not, whitetails.
Yeah.
So we got some great spot, the stock ones in Montana for free range whitetails. And, it's got 300,000 views and a buffalo show's got 900,000.
Yeah.
You just don't know. But I guess what we found is that people are tuning in to see me killing that kind of stuff, not whitetails and black bears.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
that's not your niche for sure.
yeah,
Yeah, and I
that's
think
fine.
that's good advice, man, for sure.
Yeah, but it's a tough biz,
It
and
is.
you better get thick skin because the criticism you get, especially on social media,
Uh-huh.
woo, doggy.
Yeah, yeah, you better get ready for that for sure, especially if you go missing, Alan.
Yeah, well, the death threats don't bother me so much as like
The buddy's
the
razzing
other.
you.
Yeah, or you'll get ones that are kind of low blows, but no, the like we have a standing deal. Like I'm never afraid of a guy who sends me a death threat when he's misspelled words.
Yeah.
You know,
Uh-huh.
you he's in his mom's basement eating Cheetos. So
100% using Google Translate.
that's right. Yeah. So,
Well, that's cool, Alan. That's all good stuff, man. And I really appreciate you coming on and telling some of your stories, man. And you've got a million more to tell. And hopefully we can get you sat down at the convention and talk a little bit more about just hunting and having fun, man.
sounds good. Well, I hope we see everybody at the convention, and I'm sure it's going to be another great one. And it's small enough we'll get a chance to sit down with anybody we see and get caught up. So we'll see you all there.
Cool, Alan. I appreciate it, man. And we'll see you here come show season.
All right.
All right. Thanks, buddy.
See you. Bye.
Bye. Are you registered to come to our convention yet? Spots are filling up fast, so make sure and go to slamquest.org and get that done. We will be holding it once again at the Westgate Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada, January 19th through the 21st, 2023. Come and enjoy the greatest awards program and talk with outfitters and friends from around the world. We've got some really cool next level things we're unveiling at the convention this year that you won't want to miss. So we hope to see you there.